Good evening. Tonight, the suicide of a Warren County teen is gaining nationwide attention and sparking a movement for the acceptance of transgenders.
Joshua Alcorn's birth certificate listed her as a boy, but she wrote in her suicide note Sunday she was a female and wanted to be referred to as Leelah.
Police say Leelah died Sunday morning when she was hit by a semi-truck in the middle of Interstate 71. She was only 17.
It's obviously very tragic anytime we lose a young person for whatever reason. I think the things that really came to light around, I guess, what happened for Leelah was the lack of community support and social support that she had around her. And I think that, we see in Melbourne, we see that the impact that the lack of that support can have.
Certainly, hearing about Leelah's story in the US, it reflects on what's going on around the world for young people and their struggles with transitioning or coming to terms with their gender and the lack of support for a young person.
In a letter, the King's teen wrote about depression and not being accepted by her parents for her true gender identity. There's no winning, there's no way out, she wrote.
And I would really encourage any young person or any person that is feeling like they can't handle things anymore to get in contact with a range of services across Victoria that are very much specifically there to support them. And I've done a lot of work with services in, across Victoria in really regional areas who are totally committed 100% to supporting their young people and are doing incredible work in all of those regions. And as well as that, there is a range of online supports that people can access that are kind of peer-led, so young gender diverse people supporting each other, or are more professional, things like Suicide Line and things like that, if people do need that support.
I'll probably echo what Zoe was saying in getting young people to reach out for support. So certainly Leelah felt that she just couldn't go on, but that's not the only way forward. So it's really important for anyone, young people and old, to really reach out, to talk to someone if it can't be a friend or a family member, to reach out to a support group or Suicide Line, to talk about it, to kind of make sense, look at what options are available, because certainly at the time things can be so overwhelming and you don't really feel that there is a way out. But hopefully by talking to someone, a counsellor even, just to find that there is support out there and you're not alone.
We made several attempts this week to speak with Leelah's parents. After our latest try Thursday, Leelah's father Doug sent me this email with the subject line, "Joshua Alcorn and your visit this morning." The email read, "We love our son Joshua very much and are devastated by his death. We have no desire to enter into a political storm or debate with people who did not know him. We wish to grieve in private. We harbor no ill will towards anyone. I simply do not wish our words to be used against us." Wednesday, Leelah's mother Carla told CNN, "We don't support that religiously," referring to Leelah's transgender identity. "But we told him that we loved him unconditionally. We loved him no matter what. I loved my son. People need to know I loved him. He was a good kid, a good boy."
I suppose I don't feel like I can comment too much on that criticism. I think that they're obviously incredibly heartbroken over what's happened, and I think that they are obviously at a time of needing support as well. And I think there isn't enough support at the moment. There are amazing groups such as Transcend Support and Trans Family that are there to support the families of young gender diverse people, and I think that support is so vital, and we just need more of it.
And on top of that, I'd also say that, Leelah's parents, they've lost a child, and for them, they find support through their church and through their family and friends. And it can be very hard for a family member who feels that, they're living a religious lifestyle, if it's Christian or Catholic, to reach out to some of the support groups that exist for trans parents and children, because they need something that's faith-based. So we almost need to think about how do we make support services available that, I guess, will help parents who are Christian or even from a Muslim background or from a Catholic background, because for them it goes against the religion, but it doesn't mean that there is some way that we can't educate and inform them that they're not alone and the kids can get support. It's a difficult one though. And I think for anyone to talk about Leelah's parents, none of us have any authority. We don't know them. and certainly we don't know their lifestyle. They're entitled to I guess, say what they want and feel that way. Doesn't mean they love their child any less, love their daughter, but it does mean that they weren't able to support her.
And I think just quickly on that religion thing, I think there is this idea that people who are very religious can't accept, gender diverse children and things like that. And there are leaders in, all faith-based groups that are doing incredible work around this. And I think that, that work needs to be more visible and kind of, really supported so that people do have community leaders in their faith that they can speak to. In Victoria there are two groups. So one is Trans and Support and the other is Trans Family. I think they're both based in the east of Melbourne, but they've done incredible work supporting the families. So that's both parents and siblings of, gender diverse people across Victoria.
Yeah, probably those two groups, but there are lots of other organisations. PFLAG, which came before these two groups. So Parents and Friends of Lesbian and Gay have supported trans parents in the past. But then we've found that there's a specific need for parents and children and their partners even to get some support. And at the moment, I don't know if there are any groups supporting partners. So that's still a bit of an empty space.
Her blog on Tumblr blasts her parents for pulling her out of school a year ago, sending her to counselors, and not accepting who she really was. Here's some of what she wrote shortly before committing suicide. Quote, "The only way I will rest in peace is if one day transgender people aren't treated the way I was. They're treated like humans, with valid feelings and human rights. Gender needs to be taught about in schools. The earlier the better."
President Obama's call to ban conversion therapy is welcome news to the lesbian, bisexual, gay, and transgender community.
Conversion therapy is based upon a wish. It's based upon magic. And I'm a psychologist, not a magician.
Dr. Stuart Bassman says attempts to reprogram people can be harmful. He cites one example where conversion therapy did more harm than good.
They spoke about how painful it was, how difficult it was, how instead of feeling that their self-esteem was increased, that it was demeaned.
And Cammie, I reached out today to the minister of the Alcorn Families Church for comment about the president's proposal to ban such therapy, and my phone call was not returned. Cammie, back to you.
Right, Larry, thank you. The president did not propose any federal legislation. He did encourage states, though, to develop their own bans. So far, only California, New Jersey, and the District of Columbia have them. Similar legislation is working through the Ohio State House.